Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. I've been thinking about it a lot recently, which is why I've wanted to make this update to kind of let you guys know a change in my trading plan. Now, as you guys know, I generally chart based off of the dollar pairs, but I wanted to let you guys know that I'm now going to be starting and charting predominantly with the Bitcoin pairs and specifically tracking my Satoshi value and Bitcoin value. Now, I'm still doing the same thing when I trade dollar pairs, but the thing that I've noticed is it's a little bit more complicated when you're trying to trade with the dollar pairs. You're trying to trade in the dollar pairs while simultaneously tracking all of your value in Satoshi, and so it can get a little bit complicated. I decided that with me, my ultimate goal in trading cryptocurrency is 100% to only grow my Bitcoin stack. It's nothing to do with my dollar amount necessarily. At the end of the day, my ultimate goal is only to be growing more Bitcoin. And so by me trading with the Bitcoin pairs, it's going to allow me to focus a lot more attention to my Satoshi value, as well as seeing what the charts are going to play out from a Bitcoin pairs perspective. I think that with this next cycle setting up, it's important to note with the destabilization of the dollar becoming increasingly more and more weak, I think this next cycle has a lot of potential for Bitcoin to throw even more destabilization inside of an already chaotic market. And so it's important to note that by you accumulating more Bitcoin, you're only going to further your value in hard assets, tangible wealth. Whereas with the dollar, it's a very inflated asset that really doesn't have a whole lot of value. And so by me accumulating more dollars, I'm only putting myself at a more of a disadvantage when I could be focusing solely on the Bitcoin amount. If you are new and just finding this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any more updates like the one in this video. If you're somebody that's looking for signals or just wants to further your own analysis, whether it's sharing it in a group, asking me specific questions, make sure you hit the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. All right, guys, let's jump right in the video today. All right, so to start off this, we're once again going to be taking a look at the corn. Now, Bitcoin currently has had some nice price action on the short term. We had a nice little bounce from these support levels that we're seeing, but I'm not solely convinced that we're about ready to go up yet. Now, you guys have been watching me for a while, know where my targets are. We got filled at 83.50. Right about there, and now we have one more final target about 76 that we're waiting to get filled. I'm not exactly sure if we're gonna get filled on 76, but we're so close that I just really would like a wick to catch me down and fill me on those bids. Now, if we drop it to a shorter time frame, we're gonna see kind of what I'm seeing right now. So we sold through the descending triangle, support was about 9,100. We sold through that and made our lower low. And now what we're seeing currently is roughly the same market structure as what we saw back when Bitcoin sold through support at 6K and then bottomed at 3.2. And this is kind of the same market structure. Now, until we actually make a higher high, I'm not really convinced. And even then, it's even pushing it. I mean, we have this resistance at 9,100, right about there. Until we actually make a higher high and maintain support above that level, there's really no reason to be bullish. Until then, I'm just going to be watching to see kind of how the market's going to play out. Let's remove these drawing tools real quick. Now, what we have seen thus far from a shorter time frame perspective is we have momentarily broken out of this descending resistance. And if we remember what it was like back at the 3,200 support floor, we're going to see roughly the same sort of market structure. We had these three lows, we broke out of those lows, and then we kind of consolidated in this little falling wedge type thing. You can call it really whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, but we did end up breaking out of this descending resistance on this move. And then that was really what started the next cycle high up. And so we could be seeing similar market structure just because of the fact it was a descending triangle. Market structure here looks a lot of what the top looked like from 20K, 6K floor, and then the sell-off. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're at the bottom of this retrace. But with me saying that, you guys know where my targets are. I've been pretty much stable and consistent with my analysis up to this point. Made our first bids at 9,100, filled there. Filled our second ones at 83.50, and now we're waiting for 76. Not quite sure if we're gonna get filled there, but it really doesn't matter at this point. What I'm watching for more than anything is when this buyback does come. Let's drop it to a bigger time frame. When this buyback does happen inside of this market, nice bullish engulfing candle. When this buyback happens, I want you guys to understand that it's probably gonna happen really quick. It'll be a big impulse. Maybe we consolidate below resistance for a second, and then I would expect us to go back up to some of these higher targets up here, and it will probably happen really quickly. Now this is one option. Something else we could see is that we kind of consolidate here for a little bit before going up in that cycle. We could see some little rounded bottom accumulation here, something similar to what we saw back in the day. But really, with that being said, I'm just watching for the levels to be met. Until we break out of 9100 and hold support of that level, I'm bearish, and it's going to continue to drop in my opinion until that happens. We could very easily see a little fake out where the bulls rally up to close to this 9100 mark and fall for another lower low. That's something that's very much on the table, just because this 618 comes down to about 7,200, right about there. And so based off of market structure, it looks as if we could be experiencing one more leg down, something like this, 1, 3, and then 5 impulse back down. But we're gonna watch and see exactly what the market gives us. As of right now, we are at the terminal end of that correction. I don't see us dropping down below this $7,200 mark at all. I would be happy if we fill me at 76, but I'm not even thinking it's likely at this point for there, just because we've already had such a prolonged correction from the high down to the low. So like 43, 44%, right around there. So I've already told you guys that anywhere from 30 to a 40% correction in a bull market is a steal at those prices. The fact that we're actually trending below 40% is the biggest buying opportunity that you're gonna get. Whether we drop a little bit lower, it really doesn't matter, because even if we drop from where we're at now and we go down to the $7,200 mark, it's only roughly 12% of a drop, when the upside potential is much higher at this point. It's more likely than not that this is the last sell-off. Smart money's gonna accumulate this dip really hard, whether we kind of round out right here or whether we impulse pretty quickly out of this. It's really up to what the market's gonna give us. I'm not really concerned either way. My trading plan has once again stayed the same for the course of this move up and then all the way throughout this retrace. And so I don't need to overcomplicate anything by me saying this. I really want to just quickly analyze Bitcoin, show you guys kind of what I'm watching. You guys have known what I'm watching for, and now really all we need to see is where the hell is this retrace gonna end? As soon as we break out of this descending resistance, that's really your go-to that this trend is reversed, and that's gonna be the first signs before we start impulsing into the next leg up. Now, where exactly am I watching for this next leg up in the cycle? Next leg up is going to take us to this first lower high at about 17,200, and it's very possible that we could blow very much past that and then go back up to this all-time high mark in the next move. Now, something that I'm watching out for, guys, with this leg up, I think that this completed our one wave, so the three wave is going to most likely take us beyond that all-time high mark. Now, with me saying that in this next leg up, we're going to hit these next resistance levels, because that's really the only resistance levels that we have left to hit. Now, it's very possible that we don't retrace when we hit these levels. We could have a short-term sell-off, but we could see something like this where we're going to start the real impulse out of here. And we could see something, a big three wave that takes us well beyond this all-time high mark, maybe up to like 32,000, something like that, before we start the final five wave up. Now, I don't know exactly how parabolic this is gonna get, but I'm just kind of mapping out my perspective with how I see things going thus far. But what we're gonna need to see right now is a breakout of this descending resistance, whether we're holding support here and we start up trending from here. We're gonna watch and see what the market gives us. But overall, things are looking good. I've filled on most all of my bids, waiting for 76. I don't need to overcomplicate things. You guys know my strategy. So now we're gonna dive into two Bitcoin pairs. These are two Bitcoin pairs that I think have a lot of profit potential because they've been ones that have been dumped on the entire bull market. And they're coins that a lot of people have fudded recently, so I figured I'd dive in today and show you guys my perspective with those. So first up on the list is Cardano. Now, Cardano is looking to be a very profitable setup right now. I want to switch to these Bitcoin pairs, and I'm briefly going to actually talk about why I'm doing that. I briefly talked about it at the intro of this video, but my biggest reason for wanting to accumulate with the Bitcoin pairs is because of the fact we don't know exactly how the dollar pairs are going to behave. Now, up to this point, whenever you look at a dollar pair, they're very highly inflated. And the reason for that is because a lot of these are deflationary assets, a lot of them are scarce assets, and even the ones that aren't, the dollar itself is an inflationary asset. And so there's more dollars printed and printed and printed. If you've ever looked at charts that calculate added inflation and they take away the added inflation, most stock charts haven't really even uptrended for years, and they're more or less just kind of trending sideways with volatility spikes on the upside and the downside. And so what that tells me is that the dollar itself is inflating so many of these assets, whether it's the stock market, whether it could be gold and silver, even Bitcoin itself. I think that the real reason why Bitcoin has gone so parabolic is because we're valuing it tied to an inflationary asset when Bitcoin itself is a deflationary asset. So it would only make sense that it's only going to go parabolic. And so for me personally, I'm much more focused at this time on accumulating the Bitcoin pairs, because my Bitcoin stack is the only thing that I honestly trust at this point. For me personally, and it might not be the same for you, I'm a firm believer that Bitcoin is going to be a big currency of the future. Now, it's going to be the store of value that I do strongly believe that we use, with a bigger market cap than gold. I think that there's a bigger use case for Bitcoin than there is gold from a number of different reasons. And so on top of that, I think that Bitcoin itself is honestly some of the real only tangible money that we have. It's real money. It's smart money. And so I would expect it to be something that's going to be widely used in the future, especially with my generation. My generation is everything digital, and so it would only make sense to me that we're going to move our money towards this digital way, because it's already mainly digital as we are right now. And so it makes sense to me that we're going to adopt Bitcoin. Bitcoin is divisible by the 8th decimal place, and so you can fraction out Bitcoins for a significant amount of time. Even though there's only 21 million, I think that we can fraction it out to where it would be easy and cost effective for us to transact. All we're needing right now is the Lightning Network. So that's my reasons for choosing to trade these Bitcoin pairs. I don't trust the dollar. I think that the dollar itself is overinflating and creating the illusion that a lot of things have value when they actually don't. It's just the fact that the dollar is inflated, which makes them look like they're gaining value. And so for me personally, sticking to the Bitcoin pairs, I'm accumulating my Bitcoin. I don't care about my dollar value. That's not what's important. I'm very much a die-hard Bitcoin supporter, and I am a Bitcoin maximalist. I think that Bitcoin will be the currency of the future on a global scale. And so for me, by even owning one Bitcoin, I now put myself at such a strategic advantage over the rest of the world that's why I'm really focused on only accumulating Bitcoin. So with all that being said, let's dive into Cardano. Cardano is looking very good. We're now trending back at our lowest support level. We made a tiny higher high. We had a little bit of volume that came in with this ABC correction back up, and now we retraced from there 5 impulse waves down. So what I'm seeing currently from Cardano is a nice rounded bottom on the RSI. Momentum is showing in the bull favor. Now that's a weekly. If we drop into a daily, we're going to see even more confirmation of bullish divergence. We're really trending up on the RSI when price isn't really doing that. It's now starting to impulse out of here, and so I think that now is a really good time to be looking for trades with Cardano. Now realistically, our next resistance is probably going to be about right here, the previous support, and so from right there where we're at to previous support is roughly 65%. So this one's honestly got a pretty good setup. These are one of those that you could margin trade on Binance and make a nice little rally up. You don't need to risk a whole lot. Hell, you don't even need to use margin by any means. You can just make a quick 65% gain off of this. But what I'm watching for this one is what I want to see is break out of this resistance and then hold support. Roughly the same as all of my other comparisons that I've showed you guys amongst the altcoin market. Ethereum, Ripple, all of these major alts are trending below support, and so even if we rally up, I'm not going to be too bullish until we actually break up and out of that resistance and then claim that as support. But Cardano's one that has been oversold. It's been dumped on for a long time, and it's really one that I like to pay attention for because it was a top 10 alt for the entire bear market. Even though it sold off about 95%, it was still remaining in that top 10 level. And so these are the coins that I like. I like the ones that have had really profitable cycles, had near full retraces, because those are the ones that have shaken out all the dumb money, and new money is now ready to start accumulating. So these are what I'm watching out for. Quick little 65% profit on the Bitcoin stack. All right, guys, next up is Zcash. Now, a lot of you guys might be wondering why in the hell did I choose this ugly chart to talk about? And I honestly don't know. Just kidding. But honestly, guys, Zcash is one that has been dumped on and fudded more than any other coin that I think I've ever seen in cryptocurrency. I think Bcash would have been the very first primary example of this back in 2017. But sentiment was also a lot higher in 2017 than it is now. From what we've seen at the blow off top in 2017 was a significant correction. From the high that we saw in 17 to where we're at now is roughly a 97% sell-off. So this one is dumped almost harder than any other altcoin that I've seen, especially out of the majors. Now, you're gonna find little low caps to mid caps that have dumped significantly harder, but this is one that has been dropping for a long time, but has pretty strong fundamentals in my opinion. It is a privacy coin. It's accepted on the darknet. I think that privacy coins are going to perform well in the wake of all of the regulation that's still waiting to be developed inside of cryptocurrency. Whether it's countries banning crypto or whatever it is, you can definitely own Zcash and hold that on, on a paper wallet, and nobody's going to know who the hell owns it. And so I think that these have a strong use case when regulation actually steps in. Whether it's regulation, whether it's government authority trying to take over, all of these things are very strong catalysts for an increase in value. Now, the biggest reason for this, even though we've been in this sustained downtrend for a significant amount of time, we had a lot of volume that came in. And even on the dollar pair, we sold through support, but I liked the volume that has came in. There's significantly more volume now than there ever has been. So in my opinion, that's a telltale sign that volume precedes price, and volume is very much in favor of the bulls in this time. Tons of buy volume, and that's on a weekly time scale. Now, if we go to a log chart, we're going to see that what we're seeing right here is honestly the most bullish price action that we've seen the entire way down. We haven't really seen these same candles with this buy volume coming in here. These are bullish pin candles, or one of them is. This one was honestly our first green candle that we've had in, it looks like about 7 or 8 candles. And then right here, we see nice buy volume. This was our first little indication that the trend might be shifting. This big bull pin candle came in, and that was the one that I was most excited for. And so the fact that we're getting a nice price action from candlestick charting principles, on top of that, we had a lot of volume that came in from the terminal end of this last sell-off. I would like to see us start impulsing from here. Now, the thing I like about this is just to our next resistance is almost 86%. And then you're looking at the next resistance before that is roughly 250%. And so this is one of those coins that can move very quickly when it does decide to go. The fact that it's been fudded for so long makes me very bullish, and I think that we could see a very explosive rally coming from Zcash. Now, I don't want to say it's going to go all the way to that all-time high mark because I really don't know, but these are the coins that have been around for a while and have really not made any significant moves on the upside. They've only ever made lower lows. And so I think that with this nice buy volume coming in here, we now have the chance of a significant trend reversal, which I do expect to be pretty explosive. So anyways, guys, this was what I had to share with you. I only wanted to go over 2 Bitcoin pairs today. I already talked about altcoins yesterday. I wanted to just briefly touch up on Bitcoin, some things that I'm thinking there. Overall, the market's looking good. I've told you guys my reasons for switching to Bitcoin pairs. I think that that's going to be the smartest bet for all of us, is if we're only focusing on growing our Satoshi values and our Bitcoin pairs, then the biggest thing for me is the fact that when we watch our dollar value, we're constantly thinking in dollar terms. When the dollar itself loses 5% of your buying power each year due to inflation alone. And so what's that doing to the market just based off of inflation? How much is realistically there in tangible wealth, and how much of that is just inflated and more or less just an illusion? These are things that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is my biggest reasons for switching to these Bitcoin pairs. At the end of the day, I've always been a Bitcoin maximalist. Now, I'm not saying that other cryptos can't survive and really perform well amongst Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin is the king. I mean, in Satoshi's white paper itself, it says Bitcoin is a decentralized electronic cash system. I do expect Bitcoin to be an electronic cash system and not necessarily only a store of value. I think that we will transact Bitcoin globally, and it will be efficient once we get the right technology built around the Bitcoin blockchain. But as of right now, things are looking good amongst the crypto market. I'm excited. My biggest reasons for accumulating these Bitcoin pairs is because I'm very, very much passionate about the idea of Bitcoin. I think that it's got a real potential for the future of things, which is why I've invested so much time and effort into being able to profit inside of this market. At the end of the day, the more Bitcoin that we have, the better off we'll be. Stop looking at everything in terms of dollar value, because it's oftentimes an illusion of your real wealth. Remember, Bitcoin is still very cheap in this time. We have a real opportunity to accumulate a lot of it in this next cycle. And like I said earlier at points in this video, the people that own just one Bitcoin are gonna set themselves at such a strategic advantage over the rest of the population that you should really be focusing in on accumulating that Bitcoin and not worrying so much about the volatility in your dollar amounts. Anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe to this channel for more updates in the future. Leave a comment if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. If you want access to my signals or just to see further of my technical analysis, click the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're gonna get access to my Discord server. With all that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.